even if I wish and advise him to sit,
Wembanyama rejected at the rim.
he would not sit because he's here to compete.
Hey now! He wants to go one-on-one. Turns and faces, trying to get the move. Step back, Wembanyama.
I want to get better every day, so the state I'm at right now is not enough.
Is Victor Wembanyama the greatest NBA draft prospect of all time? Because when it comes to generational prospects throughout NBA league history, there have been 25 times where former number one picks were thought of as more than just franchise players. These were prospects who both fans and scouts alike thought could change the way the game was played, to differing degrees. And the thing is, out of every name on this list, Victor Wembanyama might really stand alone as the greatest NBA draft prospect ever. Because when it comes to Victor Wembanyama, we cannot actually predict the future and what he might become. But what we can do is really dig into what number one pick really went into the NBA with the highest expectations, who was the best NBA draft prospect to ever live, and is it Victor Wembanyama? But what makes a great draft prospect? I've thought on it, and I think we can all agree on these four core elements. Number one, perceived game-changing talent. In Wemby's case, he's 7'4", he can shoot threes, he dribbles like a guard at times. We can see the talent there. Number two, a signature pre-NBA performance. Right now, sorry, Scoot, we know what Wembanyama's is, but how does he rank against some of these all-time greats? That we're going to have to figure out as we dive into college, especially when we consider number three, statistical output before the draft, such as Victor Wembanyama's current 22.9 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game against the number one professional league in France. How does that compare to battling against college kids? We'll talk about it, but for now, the fourth factor, the buzz/hype the prospect has generated. For here, we can think LeBron James in 2003. That to me is the most hyped up I have seen a prospect in my life. Is that already a controversial statement? I'm not sure, but what's up guys, Mike here, and today we are talking Wemby, but we are also doing it big. This list of 25 players that we have, these generational guys, we're ranking every single one of them in order for each of these core four. And at the end of this video, of course, we're going to go over all of the four rankings and decide who really was the greatest NBA draft prospect of all time. Is it Victor Wembanyama, or is he at least in the process of becoming that guy? So as for perceived game-changing talent, that is tough for a lot of recent generational type talents. Guys such as Ben Simmons were seen as the next Magic Johnson. The real generational talent on this list, even when it comes to someone like LeBron James, who was also seen as the next Magic, is the original prototype here. So that would mean a 6'9" point guard that was drafted in 1979. I have to say, when comparing the rankings of this list, this might be a wild take already, but I think Magic Johnson is the greatest number one pick, unicorn pick of all time. But before we continue guys, I'm very excited to thank a longtime friend of this channel, DraftKings, for sponsoring today's video. Because the only thing better than football Sundays is football Sundays with DraftKings Sportsbook. And I'm very excited to be partnering with DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, to hook you guys up. Because DraftKings is offering an incredible deal for new customers where if you want to win $150 in free bets, all you have to do is sign up for DraftKings and use my promo code Korzemba. Bet at least $5 on any pregame moneyline wager, and if that bet hits, that $150 in free bets is yours. Yes, that is $150 in free bets if your pregame moneyline wager of $5 or more hits. An absolutely awesome deal if we're being honest. And if you want to up the stakes even more, try same game parlays where you can combine multiple bets from the same game, like which team will win and by how much, for a shot at even bigger winnings. And if legal sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry. You can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and with DraftKings Rainmakers. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and best of all, you can withdraw and deposit your money whenever you want. Guys, I use DraftKings personally, so I will say, download the DraftKings app now, use promo code Korzemba, and bet $5 on any pregame moneyline wager, and receive an additional $150 in free bets if your bet hits. That is promo code Korzemba, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Thank you again to DraftKings for sponsoring the video, and for now, let's get back into the video. To me, Magic Johnson's generational talent surpasses that of a guy such as Lou Alcindor or Kareem. Because while Lou Alcindor was a generational unicorn in the way that we've never seen a big man that tall to this day dominate with a single move like that, while he was seen as more of a mythical figure, I think that fits more into hype and buzz generated. Magic Johnson's type of generational talent was also an inspiration, and it changed the game of basketball. No offense to Kareem, he did not inspire young kids to grow up to be as tall as him. If anything, the goggles, they didn't catch on. Meanwhile, Magic Johnson's generational talent was so impactful to the game of basketball that now if you're a 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" small forward that cannot dribble or shoot, good luck. However, if Victor Wembanyama starts doing the skyhook, we can revisit this. As for Wemby, with that inspiration factor in mind, I'm going to rank him second here. Kareem's skyhook was incredible. He was for sure very tall, but the dribbling and three-point shooting with Victor is just on another level, and he can reach number one here if suddenly he does put it all together and he is able to make threes at an incredibly high rate while dribbling the floor, while blocking shots on the other end. I think we can end up seeing Victor at number one on this list. There is a reason why current NBA players are talking about Victor Wembanyama in a way that is just unheard of. They already have respect on his name.
Yeah, he's like the 2K creator player.
He's really in trouble when he comes in.
We got to get ready for this kid. You know, he's gonna be really good.
He's more like an alien for sure, a generational talent.
At number 5 on this list, I do want to point out that David Robinson was the original growth spurt to number 1 prototype in the NBA. He was a 5'9" junior high school guard, just a normal guy in your science class, who grew into a 7'1" Hall of Fame center. From pass me that beaker to pass me that beaker, sir. Digging through and making this list, Robinson is actually one of the better prospects we've seen. He will be featured on a later chart, but personally, my favorite criteria here, a prospect's top individual performance, does not include David Robinson, but does feature Victor Wembanyama, because when the lights are the brightest, who is performing the best? That is what matters to me. That's what matters in the NBA, and that is when the true superstars come out. And so watching Victor Wembanyama dominate on a United States stage, watching him take it to Scoot Henderson, was one of the greatest performances we have ever seen from a draft prospect. In fact, I'd rank it third all time, as this was a true, I had the chance to go out and show the world that I am capable of anything, that I am that guy, that I am really going to come into the NBA and dominate from day one moment for Victor Wembanyama. Those games were what we as fans were all waiting for, and not a single person has said anything other than they were amazed. The thing that I love most personally is how personal Victor Wembanyama took this himself. You could tell just how much he wanted to show everyone how great he truly was, because he had worked so hard to get here already. This is a guy whose trainer needed to tell him to stop practicing. This is a guy who in the summer played Tyrese Maxey in a game of one-on-one after a workout and chose to only play defense because he wanted to get used to guarding a quicker NBA level point guard. This is a teenager. Victor Wembanyama has a work ethic that I look up to. The man has put a goal out there and has improved tremendously these last few years in front of our eyes. It's been nothing short of incredible. I do have to give Magic Johnson beating Larry Bird in the most watched college basketball game ever the top spot here, though.
Perhaps we've never seen a final game with two greater individual players than Larry Bird, the player of the year from Indiana State, and the Magic Man from East Lansing, Urban Johnson.
It was for the national championship as well, and it was Bird versus Magic. Bird won the national player of the year. This was low-key a Magic Johnson revenge game. As for Bill Walton's performance, I also will rank that ahead of Wembanyama. In the 1973 NCAA title game, Bill Walton made 21 of his 22 shots to score 44 points. He would have had 52 points if his 4 dunks had counted. Thanks, Lou. Just kidding. We love you, Kareem. Also, speaking of Lou Alcindor, though, his revenge over Elvin Hayes in Houston was a huge deal at the time, as was LeBron versus Melo, though I will say, when it comes to LeBron versus Wemby here, LeBron's team did take the L. We've got to be honest. Wemby did this.
With the blow by. Oh, Wembanyama rejected at the rim.
Forever.
Hey,
Drop and that'll do it.
Now, statistical output is a tough one because we are comparing different prospects of different eras, of course, before we even factor in international players such as Victor Wembanyama. In the United States alone, college basketball has changed so much that former number 1 picks such as Lou Alcindor used to stay all 4 seasons, and now a lot of players are trying to do anything they can to avoid college entirely. With that said, Lou Alcindor still has the greatest statistical output of any prospect. I don't care what anyone says. In his 3 college seasons, seasons, Lou Alcindor was 3-time NCAA Player of the Year, 3-time NCAA Champion, 3-time Final Four Most Outstanding Player. He was unquestionably the greatest college player we have ever seen. He also averaged 29 points and 15.5 rebounds per game in his first college season, where he was actually a sophomore, which we will get into in a second. For now, let's stick to this list though, because everyone on this list had a great statistical year, was College National Player of the Year. Sure, that means I'm sorry Magic, but Bird was National Player of the Year and crushed you individually stats wise, if we want to talk about it. Also, I'm sorry LeBron James, but we kind of have to give you an incomplete here because you never actually played against anyone but high schoolers. Meanwhile, Victor Wembanyama has been playing against grown men, and if Luka Doncic had been the #1 pick, if he fit into this list, I would, with his European achievements, rank Luka ahead of Wembanyama. But Luka is not here. So as for Victor Wembanyama, his averages of 22.9 points per game, 9.6 rebounds per game, and 3 blocks per game are remarkable. Victor is playing against grown men on a daily basis in a pro-level league. These teams are better than NCAA teams, and Victor has been learning so rapidly that last season, he put up solid numbers for a young guy. 9.4 points, 5.1 rebounds, 1.8 blocks a night, but this year, Victor Wembanyama leads his entire league in points per game, rebounds per game, and blocks per game. He is not doing this on a losing team. They are currently in second at 11-4. Last season, he shot 70% from the free throw line on only 1.3 attempts, sure. This season, he's shooting about 80% from the free throw line on 6.5 attempts. I'm not sure what we're seeing. Wemby is about to turn 19 on January 4th. In fact, I'll say it, we do know what we're seeing. We're seeing young greatness. And that brings us to category 4, hype, where I want to highlight just how absurd Lou Alcindor was as a basketball prospect. In high school, his team won 71 games at Power Memorial Academy, earning him the nickname the Tower from Power. Then as a freshman, back then, freshmen were not allowed to play varsity NCAA basketball. They had to wait a year until they were sophomores. Regardless, when Lou Alcindor was a freshman, UCLA had a tradition where their freshman team played their varsity team, aka their real team. Alcindor and the freshmen took down the real team by 15 points. Then finally, in Lou's first college game, he scored 56 points, breaking UCLA's scoring record. Then came the 3 National Players of the Year, the 3 Final Four MOPs, the 3 national titles. Lou Alcindor going to UCLA and then dominating the way that he did was like if LeBron James went to Ohio State and then dominated in the same fashion. People had to wait years and years to finally watch Lou Alcindor, who then became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, play professional basketball. I mean, the wait was crazy. Looking at this list objectively though, I'm going to rank LeBron James ahead of Magic Johnson. Although I will say it is very tough. LeBron has the at a younger age angle going for him, and I think that wins out here. At the age of 16, Sports Illustrated ran a cover of LeBron James with the words, "The Chosen One," 16 years old. What is wild is that they were right. In front of record crowds, celebrities, and loving fans, LeBron would go on to win a few more state titles before he was then drafted #1. The LeBron James prospect hype train was wild. If Wemby was over here in America, where the NBA is, maybe he could match it, but in France, his hype has certainly died down a bit. For the time being, Magic Johnson at #3, I will take over Wemby for now. Magic, of course, had his rivalry with Larry Bird going for him. It was also hoped that he would save the NBA, and with the #1 pick that year going to the Los Angeles Lakers, the hype became absurd. So that is where I will say, right now, already, I will put Victor Wembanyama at #4. I think that is the bare minimum of hype he is going to generate here. He could end up #1 on this list. We are going to see, but I do not think that changes anything. I think that when looking at this list, at least when it comes to the #1 draft prospect of all time, I am going with Lou Alcindor. Lou, Kareem, he was the first true basketball prospect that everyone was talking about before anyone even talked about basketball prospects. As a high school recruit, he was so dominant that just based on his talent alone, he became a trailblazer. So for the greatest NBA draft prospect ever, I am going to go with Lou Alcindor. But as for #2, I think that spot is open for debate. Personally, I've got to go with Magic Johnson. I do think that is fair. We are only judging NBA draft prospects here. So while LeBron did not play in college, that was his choice, and then he ended up becoming one of the best young NBA players we've ever seen. So it was a choice that certainly worked out. I would say LeBron is #3, with right now Victor Wembanyama coming in at #4. Will that change as the draft comes closer? That remains to be seen. For now, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new to the channel, it would be awesome if you could subscribe and turn on post notifications. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for watching. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. I mean, personally, I think the one on the left might be more your style, but the one on the right looks pretty awesome too. Click one, let me know what you think. And again, have an awesome day.